Sir, Prabhu sir.
I'm here.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. We'll start the session, sir.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Chaitanya from IIIT DM Karnool. I welcome you all to today's exciting workshop. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce today's guest, Mr. Prabhu Annadurai. Mr. Prabhu Annadurai is having 18 years of experience in leading software testing, test automation, test design, and held full-time job positions at Quality, Microsoft, Citibank, and many other companies. He has delivered consulting services to organizations such as Dubai Police, Schneider Electric, Nike, Samsung, and many others. He is well known for his expertise in building strategic partnerships with software testing technology companies and creating motivated teams to provide unique and high value software testing services to customers. He is the founder of Flight Yoke Learning, a social initiative to boost aerospace interest in young students, which provides programs for young minds to learn a lot about the science behind flight in the hands-on and practical approach. Now I request Mr. Prabhu Annadurai to start the session on topic Aeronautics for Young Minds. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Chaitanya. That was an wonderful. Thank you. Start by Murli for this wonderful opportunity to be amongst you all today. Thanks to Mike and Professor Somejilu for their presence, and my son Pavan for this meeting. So that's on the intro side. So obviously given the introduction, I'm sure some of us about this guy is into IT and talking about aeronautics. I think that's going to get addressed shortly. I start with a quote, right? I mean, it's so traditional, so let me go that way. To invent an airplane is nothing. To fly is everything. It airplanes. I think it applies to everything, right? I mean, especially if believes in the premise that you have to learn both with your hands. So if something is way too theoretical, then result in anything. If it is just pure practice, then that's another part of the problem. So somewhere finding the optimal balance is where it stays. And this, by the way, this gentleman Otto, pioneer of aviation. As a matter of fact, he was the first one to make just with gliders. I went with the powered airplane and took the complete limelight out of so that being said, let me quickly move on to talk about today. Right, as the introduction says, I have spent quite a bit of time building systems and good companies into software such as associates. That makes me a eligible speaker in one of the software related topics, but I talk about something completely different. As a matter of fact, something my kid introduced me to 4 years ago, or a little longer than that. I don't exactly remember. Well, sitting back, right? I mean, our weekends are usually busy. Me and my kid, and I believe this will be topic about today, and hope you will enjoy the next 1 hour, right? And
Prabhu sir?
Yep.
Your voice is a little bit breaking.
Is it better now?
Yes, sir. It is more or less fine. Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Just in case if there's any break in the voice, I mean, we just got battered by Cyclone Nivar. It drops down beyond a point where it is a little difficult to understand. Just kind of stop me then and there.
No, sir.
I should have. Yeah, I should have given this caution at the start, but I guess we are not too much into the present.
Now it is all right, sir. Now it is all right.
It is okay. So and okay, going back to the the presentation itself. The reason why I chose to speak about this today is to actually share with you my experience nurturing my child's passion for airplanes, right? And how it helped him to learn and connect with people, and more important is learning to other young. As a matter of fact, it is just not about a father and a child, but I think it can be own business. That's how I saw it somewhere down the line. And I'm sure my communication entire student community today. You and by the way, let me also give you a word of caution. Nandan is too young to decide on his career. He learns music, he'll be right. So like a young child kind of working on something beyond his age, and it's completely out of his own volition. So that's something I wanted to always mention wherever I go. And yes, he goes out playing hide and seek with other kids. No childhood lost at all, right? The ultimate objective is to essentially convey the importance of pursuing your passion and following it through. That's the bottom line of this speech today. So I'll specifically give a lot of the end, so we can kind of interact a bit more, and there's absolutely no stopping. All right, so back to where we are. I was just trying to convey today in this speech, if there's nothing else for you to take away, the importance of pursuing your passion and kind of following it up to the logical end. That's what I really want to talk about. So what I would do is I will just talk about how it all started, go on to describe to a certain detail as to all the little experiments me and my kid did, and subsequently how we thought it will be interesting to connect with people in this field, and all the nice connections we got from across the academics, industry, and the enthusiasts in this aviation field. And subsequently we got all this learning back to other young minds. So that's the conclusion side of it. So how did we all start? I mean, look at this picture. That's Nandan and me flying a fighter jet, maybe. I don't remember exactly. He was 3 or 4 when he kind of put this helmet on and plugged in a wire to say that, look, I'm the pilot, you're the co-pilot, and we are going to fly the jet now. So that's a very young mind, aspiring to be something, but just started off in a very humble beginning, like many other things. So we tried with it all started with a toy helicopter, if I remember correctly. So I bought him one, and with the controls on, it only jumped up and fell down ungracefully to the ground, just like a brick. So but this got him all interested in knowing how in the first place this toy flew. So many more toy helicopters followed, and of course he took them apart and to see what is inside it. He'd ask me a lot of questions, and we tried putting the motors and the integrated electronics and batteries in plastic boxes to make them fly. Of course, there's no luck, because it's very rudimentary and crude approach to doing things. We tried airframes with thermocol sheets, fitted them with DC motors and AA batteries, just to see if it glides with its own power plant. No luck. We knew nothing about building airplanes that can fly, but we nonetheless continued our pursuit. So it was all fun, to really see making all these rudimentary things at home, and experimenting with a little kid. More importantly, he was very adamant about one thing, to make this work, right? So it got me a little more serious about what my child wanted to attempt. So I started kind of googling out. Of course, Google came to our help, and we were just looking for RC clubs around our place. We used to live in Kanchipuram back then, and we drive about 70 odd kilometers every weekend to watch people fly their models. So there were some good RC clubs in and around Chennai. So it was just amazing to see them do it. So my child's eyes would, kind of open up and be very bright watching all these little things fly, and some of them were making funny noises. So we decided to buy our own RC trainer model. So essentially a small electric RC aircraft, and it had all kind of complex things inside, so which we wanted to really understand, right? But of course, with no formal training, just like a toy helicopter, our maiden flight was no flight at all. Or should I say, it lasted about 5+ seconds. Right? It was a little disheartening to see a broken model, but that's the reality of life. We have to, kind of start somewhere, start experimenting till we reach a certain level of maturity in whatever we are trying to do. Of course, I can't talk about this to a young child, but that's what was running in my mind. Luckily for us, we got introduced to someone who helped my kid learn RC flying. Right, so young guy, young chap, he was part of the RC club, and he did a bit of aero modeling himself. And Nandan had a flying instinct, so within a few weeks, he was already flying his RC models. Of course, the landings and the the takeoff was a bit of a challenge, but he can keep it afloat in the air, which is a big deal, right? So but what I was hearing from the trainer is that he was a natural fellow at the controls, and of course many crashes and successful flights followed. It took me quite a bit of energy, patience, and money to sustain this learning, and Nandan liked it absolutely fine, right? So it is at this stage that we got introduced to flight simulators. They were of a very great help, and the kid enjoyed his flying sessions, especially when it's rainy. Even today as we speak, right, this being a rainy time, and the winds are not favorable, he spends his time on the flight simulators to continue his passion. And we continued learning over 2+ years to kind of fly our RC models. Of course, I don't fly, it's just Nandan flying, but I do help him with the designs and models, and probably with what models we can start building and all that, right? We used multiple materials. Some of them were locally available, corrugated sheets, for example, foam boards, balsa wood. Balsa wood is the traditional material used, but foam boards are pretty popular of these off late. So it took us a lot of time to learn about sizing the brushless DC motors, the propellers, and the speed controllers and lipo batteries, because these components, just like how you do in your trade, these are components which needs to be sized up properly for something to fly. It's like a choreography of multiple things coming together, right? So it was an interesting learning. I think the journey itself was more important, is something I realized during this entire session, right? So moving on, what I would want to do is just quickly show you a video clip of Nandan flying, so that it doesn't look like a very uninteresting. I'll show you a early model that we flew. Start with. It's a minute-long video, right? Can you see the video fine? This is a model that Nandan built with corrugated sheet. It's a plastic corrugated sheet. Okay. I hope you also enjoyed the, looking at watching all these crows follow the model. So we always have that for whatever funny reasons. Whenever there is a crow or an eagle around, they always try to follow the model flying. I don't know if they are looking at them as, prey, or they were just kind of funny enough for them to follow, right? So yeah, moving on, what we did is we continued to build more models, and each one was a learning by itself. It turned out, young minds indeed were truly the best ones to learn building and flying airplanes. He did not learn about the the theoretical part, to be precise, but something like what is the aerodynamic center or the center of gravity as yet. Why? And I didn't expect him to learn all that to begin with, because I was more keen on the experiential learning, especially whatever stage we are at. I mean, it can be a kid starting to learn, or even a college student, or somebody in like me in mid 40s. If we are starting with something new, I think the best approach would be to go for an experiential learning, so that when we have experience people in the field talking about it, we can correlate with our own experience. So that is what was kind of precisely going through with my kid, and that was a good learning for myself too, because what I do is, when I go back to my uh, commercially positive work, like whatever I do for my living, I have a team to manage, and it taught me how to kind of groom teams, especially when we are working on new technologies. Maybe I'll touch upon that when I when I finish the presentation today, because I'm on the IT side. I'm working on something very interesting with a French company, and that's on test design automation. I mean, it is nothing to do with the execution automation typically IT students might have seen, like the UFTs or the Seleniums of the world. We talk about designing automation, automating the test design process itself. So when we work on something which is niche, it gives me a great idea as to how to bring in the team to a fair amount of steep learning curve, and that is something that this experience with my kid also taught me, that I will relate to at the end of the presentation, right? So speaking about this, though the kid doesn't understand all these aspects, what he was able to do is that the moment he picks up his transmitter and starts flying, he knows immediately that, look, this can fly, this is not tail heavy. He tells me that, right? That's an interesting part of the learning process itself, right? And continuing the process, we moved from buying ready-made RTF kits to building our own scratch builds, which is like, you have to buy the sheets, the balsa woods, the electronics, and then put them together with your own design, or a design that you adapt from what is already available to build your model. So we started going into scratch builds, right? So these are some of the projects we did. We built a fixed wing trainer with corrugated sheet. That's the one that you saw, the yellow model that was flying. And then we started using a Depron, which is a foam board that's pretty light, and it is strong enough to run through. I'll show you one of the flights. And we made some 3D models that was aerobatic in nature. So Nandan was very natural in doing aerobatic flying, right? So this is about doing loops and rolls and vertical climbs and all that, right? And nitro engines were something, a beast by itself. It's a class by itself. It was pretty interesting to fly, but then I consciously avoided given the safety reasons, because the engines were pretty powerful, and it required some amount of maturity for a kid to work on. So we focus on the electric side of the world. Anyway, that's going to be the future, by the way, right? So we worked on Depron jets, And EDFs are electric ducted fans, which I'll show you in a short while, right? And a quick picture of some of the models that Nandan worked on. The yellow model that you saw, and the one in the orange is the the nitro engine, which we rarely use. And one in the bottom right corner is the EDF jet. It has got some interesting things like a canard in the front, what is called a foreplane. That is a little difficult to control. And I've got some interesting stories about this particular model on the down bottom right. Yep. Again, I'll show you a quick clip to keep the interest going. Okay, Soumya, I guess you had a question about what is the difference between these flights and drones. Actually, drones are a very broad category of flying objects, right? So what he flies can also be termed as a drone. And I think typically the question that you had about drone is a quadcopter that has four props looking upwards, and that lifts the object like vertically upwards, right? So what he flies, what I've just shown you, is exactly a fixed wing aircraft. That would be a right word to use. And a fixed wing aircraft is using the flow of air on its wing to give it a lift, right? So it's about yeah, you're right. I think Parv Agarwal has put it rightly. It's about speed and balancing, right? So if the aircraft doesn't move at a certain speed, or if there is no sufficient wind, right, in front of the aircraft or the headwind, it will not fly. It will just fall like a brick, which means that you need to have a lot of control and piloting skills to fly this, right? And the quads are pretty interesting too. I think the world is moving forward with a lot of things in the quads, especially if you see some of these quad races. These people are just awesome. I mean, they fly at such incredible speeds. Their instincts are so great. So that is, I would summarize as the difference between quadcopters and fixed wing aircrafts that you saw Nandan just flying. Yep. Let me, okay, great, thank you. Right. This is going to be an interesting bit. So somewhere down the line, we did one interesting experiment. It's actually an offshoot of Nandan visiting an aero show. I think it was 2017 aero show. And there was a Swedish company called Saab, S-A-A-B. They are a defense manufacturer. And, we were just going around all these stalls, and we stopped by no, I'm sorry, it's 2019 aero show. It happens once in 2 years. 2017 we were there. 2019 this happened. So 2019 beginning, when Nandan and I were just going around, and we stopped by Saab, to see one of their display models. It's a fighter jet called Gripen, Gripen. Let me just kind of type this. Okay, and Nandan had, as usual, plenty of questions to me about the model, what it can do, and a few things he has learned himself about the model. He was just talking to me about it, and one of the folks from Saab kind of invited him, telling him, you know what, Nandan, don't ask your dad, ask me, right? So he started asking him questions, and you won't believe it. It went on for about 45 minutes to 1 hour, and Nandan had even more questions. So they had to eventually put Nandan onto one of their test pilots, and the test pilot kind of gave Nandan a huge lesson about how the whole fighter jet flies and all that. And he was so intrigued by this young guy knowing so much about their aircraft. He actually put him onto a Saab Gripen simulator, flight simulator. Right. So as you might know, you might know it, but just for the sake of understanding, simulator is actually a stationary device, if I might want to call it, that kind of gives a feeling of how the real aircraft will fly, but there is no actual flight at all, just like how you see in the picture, right? So they made Nandan sit inside a Gripen flight simulator, and he kind of landed the aircraft in the designated runway path. So that gave him a huge boost, and he wanted to build a flight simulator one for himself. Of course, it's too much of a task for him, so I had to pitch in and be his project team member. So we chose Cessna. Cessna is a type of an aircraft which is quite smaller and has a rather simpler cockpit layout. So we thought we will start with Cessna, and this is what we came up with, right? So we used commercially off-the-shelf items for building this project. So doing this project, so we used a multi-display PC, and we used a flight yoke controller, which is more like a gaming console, and we used Microsoft's FSX software for the flight simulation core. And interestingly, Nandan was very adamant that he wanted to have all the switches and the typical ignition start, which is like a key start in a Cessna. So we used an Arduino board. Some of you might have already used an Arduino board for programming. So these are small electronic boards that are highly programmable, and it has got interfaces that can talk to an LED or a micromotor and stuff like that. So, but we wanted to use that to take the switch and key ignition inputs. By the way, the key, it's not a complex thing, right? I mean, I used a Godrej key lock used in a cupboard, and on either side there is a switch that turns it on or off, by the way. So it's funny, we tried such a simpler setup, but it worked. It really worked well and worked consistently well. And we used this Arduino board and a linking software to make all these control switches to talk to FSX software. That will be an interesting demo by itself, right? So I was just telling Dr. Murli that one of the days we would want to, demonstrate such a thing in your institute too. So we'd be very glad to do that. So this flight simulator was an interesting learning in our pursuit. So and this became very handy in us showing this around many other young minds, which I will talk about subsequently. And let me just kind of show you a quick video of this simulator in action. I actually uploaded this video especially for today's session in YouTube, so it would be a very short video, the only meaningful video I had at this point of time. This actually is a demonstration we gave to a school in our locality, a government-run school in our locality. The kids just kind of liked it so much, and we made some of the kids try their hand in the simulator as well. Yeah. Moving on, what we did is between me and my kid, we were trying to do all this, little projects, RC flying projects ourselves. But where is the fun if we don't go and kind of show this around to other people, right? So we started participating in events. We usually participate in Madras Institute of Technology, where aeronautics is one of the key departments. So they were the first ones to let a young child participate in an event. So they conduct something called Flight. The name of the event is Flight, that happens every year there. So Nandan participated in MIT. The first year it was our basic flying. So he has to, the event itself is something like he has to, he has to kind of go all the way up, gain as much altitude as possible, turn off the motor, and just use the gliding, in the air to keep it afloat for a long time. So that's one of the events. And second thing is about he has to have a payload in the aircraft and drop it in the middle of the ground in a designated circle. So it was interesting learning, and being part of a bigger institution that is focused on aeronautics. And for flight simulation, Nandan got second in one of the events in MIT. And in Anna University, which is well-known university here in this part of the world, Chennai, and he participated in Kurukshetra. That's one of the events, and won second prize in the event. And IIT conducts Shastra, and there is an event for aerobatics which he participated in. Perry had an interesting event. They were starting their own RC club, Aero Club, and Nandan was invited to do some performances there. And we did this in SRM as well. So that's part of their, I think, mechanical department invited us to do an air show and a demo. And more importantly, Aero India is one of the biggest platforms for us to be part of and connect with the who's who of this area, aviation and aeronautics. And we got some wonderful introductions there. And believe me or not, people in the stalls, they were very eager to answer queries, even though it's a child asking all these questions. A quick few pictures of Nandan's participation in all these events, right? So those are those certificates from Anna University and MIT. Yeah. This is the Aero India, where the flight simulator is right at the bottom. That's the Grippen's flight simulator, and it was an awesome flight simulator for Nandan to learn about, how flight simulation mimics the real flying. Right now that can you folks hear me fine? If you can just right, it's been a quiet for a while, so I thought yeah, great. Okay, so one, if you can just kind of choreograph what I was just telling you. One is starting with something, and since it's a work that we are passionate about, we were pursuing it. Then we were doing a lot of things in terms of experimentation, and we were participating in events focused in and around this area of interest. And then comes the LinkedIn, which is people whom you cannot connect and meet otherwise, right? There is this beautiful thing called LinkedIn. I'm sure many of you are part of this network, a decent social media, I would say, right? So me and Nandan, we are very active in LinkedIn. I will share our profiles at the end of the slide deck. We post all things we do, right? I mean, even if it's a simple thing, we connect with we do a post of what we did, and you won't believe there are some interesting feedbacks, right? If you recollect, I was showing you this model that we built, right? I mean, a white model with a canard at the front. That's actually it's the aircraft of a company called Saab, the Swedish company, right? So it's called Gripen. Nandan is a big fan of this Gripen aircraft, simply because it kind of Saab gave him a good platform to you know further pursue his interest, because they were answering all his queries and treating him very serious. So he became a big fan of Saab and of obviously their product Gripen. So he built the Gripen and flew it, and he made a post of this Gripen flight in the LinkedIn, and you won't believe it. The CTO of Saab gave a thumbs up, and many senior managers, including the aircraft designer of Gripen, commented it's a good work. So there were some 500 people from Sweden and about 200 employees of Saab as a company, and saw this video and encouraged this young guy, and he is now connected to CEO of Bombardier. He is connected to CTO of Airbus, and he's connected to global manager of talent in Boeing. And that's the powerful social media network we are talking about. I'm sure many of you are there already, but I would suggest those of you who are not in that platform to start kind of getting into this platform right away, right? So some of the comments for that model came in. I just kind of pulled in a few, right? So a senior manager from Microsoft kind of talking about it, and the best one was by this gentleman called Ravi Margasagayam. He's a ambassador at NASA, and he took time to write a big comment about whatever this little kid was putting through. And the best part is he is very explicit in making a statement. You will be a perfect candidate to work at NASA. That's a big boost for a young guy. And if it can happen for such small things as we do today, and imagine if you can kind of post all your work and and get the visibility across to people or who is who in this in your area of work, or whatever we are trying to do, then that would be the best way to connect with the world. So I thought it is very important to also mention about how LinkedIn helped us to take this little work that we do across the board to people related with this area of work. Well, this comes. This comes. I mean, all along, I think I was just speaking about what me and my kid did. It was very personal, right? It is just two people. That's it, right? So, but that's how things start. I mean, it is very personal. We start having something which is an idea in our mind, and we give it a shape. We experiment with it, and we talk about it to other people, and create the interest of other people if it is really worth pursuing, and if we are very persistent about our area of interest. Once we reached a certain level of maturity, I had this thought that it is time for me to put together a small website, more like an informational website, and share our experience for others to try, if that's an area of interest for them as well. And subsequently, we used all that we built, including the models, the flight simulator, and everything we have learned, and tools of learning that I shared with my kid. We used all that to create interest among other young minds. And how do we do it? One is through this informational platform, and we go and conduct flight simulation workshop and air shows at schools and colleges, right? Of course, there were some good sponsors who came in and helped us cover the cost of all that we try to do today. And you won't believe these schools and colleges, they just kind of liked what we did. So you can see the video that I showed you, the flight simulation. We shared it with some of the schools, including government run schools, and the kids learned a lot. They had some interesting questions which I was not anticipating myself, right? So and the one at the bottom is at the MIT, the gentleman in blue shirt. He kind of was very, very supportive of us. He's the HOD of the aeronautical departments at MIT, and we kind of reach out to schools and colleges, conduct workshops, and just kind of show around and share our experience within this field. Well, this summarizes what we have learned thus far. So passion is the key. That's what kept us kind of running all along. We were very active in seeking help, and help came by readily, and we stuck to experiential learning, especially because it was a kid learning. That doesn't mean that it has to be for everyone. And we connected with people, be it physical connection like visiting Aero India shows and participating in events in colleges and schools, but also in virtual platforms like LinkedIn, right? So and finally, that's the end part. We gave it a meaning by sharing our learning with others. That is when it is otherwise boring. There is no fun at all in just keeping things personal. So the moment this happens, then we start getting a new social meaning to whatever we were trying to do as individuals. And right now I've got some 10 or 15 kids who regularly come home, go to our common flying ground where we share details of what they've done, what we have done, how it flies. And it will be very interesting to see the kids talk about their models, right? I mean, I heard a kid say that, what, I was just kind of flying today and it felt a little heavy. He never meant a model with his hand weighing heavy. He spoke about how he felt while controlling the model that's in the air, right? So that's the idea behind this old presentation today. I mean, bottom line is, we have things that we do for commercial gains, which is the professional work we do, and earn money out of it. But there are also other things that we can do without the commercial side of it, and that is also a criteria for success. That's a long topic that I had with Dr. Murli sometime earlier, right? So for students, especially those who are at the verge of moving into the society and getting into your professional life soon after you finish your course, you should balance out. It is not always about a commercial venture, such a pursuit. It is also about things that keep you happy at the end of the day, right? So it could be simple things. I'm sure that that gives a holistic view to the whole world itself, right? So with this, I would want to thank you all for spending this time, and these are of our LinkedIn connections. I will share it with you in the yep, that's there. It's already shared. Thanks, Pravalika. So feel free to connect with us, and I leave the platform open for queries if you have any, and I'd be more than glad to stick around to answer them as long as it takes.
Thank you, sir.
Oh yeah, sure. We are open. We are not just saying open. We will be more than glad. And simulation could be a learning for IT team too, for the simple reason that it is completely out of COTS, right? I mean, even the flight simulator. If I just go back to this picture, where is it? Yeah, there it is. The frame itself is fabricated by a metalworks person near our house. All the specifications were given by me and Nandan to tell him this is how long it should be and all that. And the dash itself was built by our carpenter, and we put the monitors together. So this is absolutely nothing, too complex about this whole structure. But then the end result was the what I would call the return on investment, our efforts investment is way too great, because we had such fun kind of introducing this to all the students and everybody. So yeah, I will be very glad to be there in your place to show you a demo of this simulator. Any other queries? Well, Himanshu, what we did is, like, you see there's a 32-inch television, which is I think about 11K. As a matter of fact, I didn't even do the budgeting. So the two monitors around 2,500 each, and these were dinner chairs, and the frame itself and the carpenter work cost us around 6,000-7,000 bucks, if I remember correctly. And the PC with the multi-display setup would have cost us some 50K or so. And the flight yoke, which is the console, I got it imported from US through a friend of mine. That cost me some 300 USD, if I remember correctly. So it's not very expensive if you're looking at a package where you can do this flight simulation. By the way, what it also helped Nandan is to actually there is a pilot friend in our apartment who happened to visit, and he taught him exactly what a commercial pilot would do. So Nandan today, what he does is he knows what to do to get a ground clearance, and how to talk to an ATC, and a typical circuit in a city, right? So if it is Chennai, what is the altitude at which he needs to do, and how he does the climb, and how he goes against the headwind, crosswind, the downwind, and the speeds at which he does the banking and land back in Chennai. So it's pretty interesting, given the fact that it is a simple simulator and the learning possibilities involved. And did I not mention that MIT students frequently visit our home to do their practice sessions on our simulator? Did that answer your question, Himanshu? Okay, great. Yeah, it's like this, Nagulapati Uttam, right? Passion versus income, right? I mean, let me put it this way. Again, this is a personal view and opinion, right? There has to be a balance. We live in a material world, and obviously we should seek wealth very actively. Wealth is to be seen as a very positive effect of our society. So we typically carry that money is bad and all that attitude. So I do not want to kind of spread any such messages here, right? So wealth is good. Money is very important, and we have to be materially comfortable, right? But that doesn't close the loop. That's what I really want to talk about, to say that there are also other successes that we need to measure as a criteria outside of this window. You have to pursue it for you to make your personality complete in all respects. Okay, there's another question from Soumya. Didn't he ever feel desperate to learn all the technical details, which is a lot for a kid? Yeah, obviously there are these challenges, right? I mean, it is not happy forever for us to go through this journey. There are things that he never was able to learn, and I don't expect him to learn, right? And I keep telling him that he's got a whole time ahead of him to learn all that, right? And I was very, very particular not to let him lose his childhood. So that's why I was very, very specific in mentioning that he goes out to play hide and seek, right? So there is this push and pull of what he can do. But interestingly, this experiential learning kept him going. Like I told you, with the simulator, he does know what the Arduino does, but he doesn't know how to link with the FSX software, which is where I came in as a a team member. But that's how teams work, right? I mean, not everybody knows everything. Jack of all trade will not work today. That I think stopped with Leonardo da Vinci back then, where he was everything, right? An architect, an engineer, and somebody who built things. No, what we focus on is that he enjoys his part. So he does more of piloting. He does more of using what I produce, and also participate in the building process. Like for an example, the models that we built, the design elements, as to there are some proportions. The wing has to be of the span. The wingspan has to be a certain proportion to the fuselage length. The wing area has to have some proportion to the tail area. So I tell him that with a very clear knowledge that he may not fully understand it, but there are things that he understands by hand. Like for example, we kind of don't do the center of gravity and aerodynamic center properly in a model. He knows it immediately. The moment he takes off the aircraft, he tells me, Dad, you know what, it feels a little different, awkward flying it. I'm going to land it. Let's see what goes on in there. Then we realize either we have not kind of taken care of one of the criteria very good. So that's how things work. Desperation will always be there. I mean, be it in pursuing your passion like what we are doing, or in real projects in a company. I mean, how many times have I and my team members in my work environment be desperate to get something moving out because there are some delivery pressures to handle as well. Yeah. What is okay? There is. Thanks, Soumya, for mentioning about the support and
Sir,
perspective.
also, Nandan is also there for a question and answer session.
Oh
Definitely, when
yeah,
the,
yeah. I definitely will involve him. I gave him an update that he has to be here. So
if you want to ask any question to Nandan, you can ask. Definitely, when the college reopens, we will fly with Nandan.
yeah, we'll be more than glad to show you around some of the rolls and loops. Okay, and there is a question by Sashank. What is his inspiration to start this, or is it like his interest? Sashank, just like many good things in our life, for him it started with an toy helicopter that was more of an accident. But maybe because there are so many things that happen. It is not just the toy helicopter. There are so many other toys that he got as a gift in his childhood. But this one interested him. Maybe I was lucky enough to identify and probably fuel more of what he likes, right? So and going by the father and son relationship, right? So uh, there might be a point in which he might have other interests. Like for example, he plays guitar, he likes music very well, and he equally places music and aeronautics together. So uh, he can turn into anything, I don't know, but for now he still continues, and he's hungry for more on this area of work. So I'll keep supplying it. That's how I see it. Just in case you have any questions for him, I'll just call him around so he can talk to. That's okay with you. Okay. Anything specific that you would want to ask him? I have to transfer the headset to him. Or I can ask him to just talk about whatever he likes to within this area of work. Okay, great. I'll do that. You want to talk about one of the projects here?
Soumya, you can ask him. He's there. Like you can ask him how important the support, his father's support. That's what you are asking, right? Nandan?
I'm sorry, can you repeat what you said?
No, she was asking like how important your support is, so that like he can tell like.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
We can just talk about.
Hi.
We talk about what how you find.
Actually, I started to fly because I had interest when I was 7. My father used to buy me the toy helicopters from the mall or something, and I was interested to make an object fly and make it on my own. So we got to a trainer, and he told me that you build one model. Like, he built me one model. It was a trainer. And he didn't let me fly first. He built a model and he showed me his flying. This is show the basic controls I learned. And after that, before that actually, my father and I used to build planes. It used to have heavy brushed motors. We used if it want to fly, we will be needing brushless. We used to have heavy brushed motors. We tried to do as much as possible, but it didn't fly. So then we actually first I flied a drone, not an airplane. I flied a drone first, then I moved to airplane because airplane when I was growing at the time only I was learning airplane. So we bought a drone from I don't know, Robo India, something like that. We bought it, and I first flew the drone and I got the hang of it. Then after it got some technical problems, and we gone to the trainer. He built me a model, and before he built me, there was a model we bought from a professional hobby store, RC Bazaar, and we actually crashed it. And he told what I should improve, and I didn't have the understanding of the aerodynamics and all those stuff. And he built me a model. I flied and I just trained. I gone to a newer level, and now I am building a model. It's called Gripen. It's a Swedish company, Saab, and it's a fighter jet, to perspectively say. It's a delta wing, and it has canards in it. Canards is nothing but it has an if you take a look at normal airplanes, it has the stabilizers, which we call it as elevators, which will be in the back of the airplane, which in this Gripen, it's in the front side, near the canopy, near the air intake. And I actually built one 50 mm. 50 mm means it's an EDF. It's a jet engine, but an electric version of it. So jet engine costs fuel and all those stuff, so we couldn't do it. It's too noisy, so we did it with the EDF electronic ducted fan. It was 50 mm wide. Now we are doing it just a bigger version of it, 70 mm.
Okay, he gave the headset back to me. So what I will do is I'll just kind of share a quick video. Maybe this could be the last one of him flying this Gripen that he just spoke about. Well, I guess this 1 hour window is used up. So if any further questions are there, we can kind of answer them for you. Otherwise, we are open. By the way, I'm available, and I'm also on LinkedIn. I can have Pravalika and Dr. Murli share my coordinates if you have any questions to be asked.
Thank you, sir. Well, definitely, then when the college reopens, then we'll have a session. I guess there are no more questions. We have like actually 2 students' presentations they have done as a part of the course. So
Sure.
they wanted to show you their 5 minutes each.
Sure. Please do. I'll be very glad. You can take control of the as a presenter, right?
Yes, I just want there. Who is going to present first?
So the first one is going to be Soumya, Smart Campus.
Good morning, everyone. Our project is about a smart campus done by my team of 6. My team and I have conducted surveys and collected data from all the students to know the problems that they are facing in our present campus, that is IIIT DM Kannur. In this project, we are going to discuss some of the possible solutions to turn our campus into a smarter one to get rid of these problems. Here, only some of those questions are displayed in the screen. So now let us enter into the world of a smart campus. So what is a smart campus and why do we need it? Well, a smart campus is a one that provides technological advancements to refine the quality of classroom instruction and student learning. A smart campus offers a variety of smart technological solutions that add value to student learning experience and their time on campus. We need a smart campus because it can help improve 3 important factors: experience, efficiency, and education. It can help reshape how students study, learn, interact with an institution. We'll further see its uses in our later sections. In this project, we'll be discussing about the following aspects: classrooms and labs, various automation techniques for library, attendance system, canteen, etc., and also about the sustainability of resources in the campus. When we hear about any school or campus, the first thing that comes into our mind is a classroom. So what is the problem in this classroom is a lecturer will be thinking so difficult to clean and erase the board multiple times, which is time consuming too. So a white interaction board will be helpful in this case. As it is a touch screen, with just one click, the entire board can be erased. We can even use multiple colors of pens and diagrams to enhance the students' learning experience. It is becoming very popular now, like even some of the YouTube educators are using it. And also the classroom architecture can be improved by using the following digital podium, wireless microphones, etc. In the campus labs, students will have a lot of data and statistical tables related to many other experiments. If we just use manual records, we cannot express our data and patterns accurately, and also most of the data is forgotten, and it is time consuming too. So if we use these electronic laboratory notebooks, all this data can be preserved in a cloud storage, and many more statistical inferences can be drawn. And hence students concentrate more on experimenting rather than spending a lot of time on making repeated notes. Now let us see some of the automation techniques using IoT for the smart campus. The first technology that comes into our mind in the automation field is our Amazon Alexa. What if we use this Alexa in our classrooms? Or not for actually singing songs and etc., but for automating the boring manual computer operations like switching on projectors, attendance announcements, assignment reminders, and some important podcasts, etc. And this is not quite popular now, but definitely has a great scope in the future. Now coming to the most important, library management system. In these smartphone days, students are very less interested in reading books. So we have to definitely enhance the student experience in the library. For that, like in shown in the picture, if you use digital monitors to show the real-time information of books, and also by automating the process of collection, issuing and renewal of books, and also alerting the students about the duration and fine period, this will definitely improve the students' experience. And a software for library management system can be made to do all these things. In some of the universities, student communities have actually made these. And the most time consuming and irritating thing for a lecturer in a classroom is taking attendance of each student for each class. So this issue can be solved by using the recent technology of real-time face recognition system developed using deep learning and computer vision techniques. It captures the student face in real time, and student need not even get up or raise hand. In a particular school of China, this facial recognition is also used not only for attendance but also to monitor the behavior of their students and emotions. But I feel as of now it's better to restrict this to only attendance. And the most crowded and clumsy place in a college is canteen, where students need to wait for the ordered food, search for the available items that day, and sometimes even wait in the queues for building for a long time. These problems can be solved using a smartphone application, which is just like Amazon Shopping, where students can see the list of available items, order items, and pay online. They can even have the track of how much money they are spending on each day on each snack per month, and they can actually be so cautious about spending of their money too. And coming to the sustainability resources, being smart also includes to save for the future. Here we'll be considering electricity, water, and food to be the resources. We know pretty well about the natural things like solar and wind energy. Apart from these, there are some ways to save electricity, like using the smart IoT lights. These lights can be operated through your smartphones via internet. As we discussed about Alexa in classrooms earlier, we can even instruct Alexa to turn off all the smart lights, and hence we need not remember to switch off lights every time. And we can even adjust the brightness and colors of these lights according to our convenience. The other important resource is water. We can minimize the consumption of water in a campus by following the ways of recirculating systems, leak detection technology, and recycling rooftop rainwater, and watering the lawns at night to prevent from evaporation, and of course the hand sanitizer installation, which is very necessary in these COVID times. It helps to save water, use it for hand wash. And now comes the food waste management. It is very painful to see a lot of food getting wasted in our dining halls or canteen, maybe due to overcooking or excess servings. As prevention is always better than cure, it is better to have a strong mess community that take care and do regular checks of how much food is wasted or consumed per each person, and it can even track the attendance of each person at the mess. And all this data can be displayed in the dining halls through some monitors, so that the people who are watching it while eating will get cautious and will be alert to save food. And now, without just dumping the food waste into the landfills, let us see some of the possible solutions of food waste management. Breaking down organic materials, like we can at Pennsylvania at Temple University, they have actually used this mechanism to break down this food waste using some microbes into a fluid, and then it goes into a drainage system. And we can even use this grinding machine that crushes the food waste, and it also squeezes out the water. At at New Jersey University, they even used a diesel engine to generate electricity from unused frying oil. We can even use this food waste to generate some electricity like biogas thing, and which can further be used. And the best option is to donate the extra cooked food in the mess. At Christopher Newport University, just a student community of 50 volunteers are contributing 4,000 pounds of leftover food to the people who are in actual hunger. And implementing some of these things are implemented by student communities in universities with the help of faculty and proper guidelines. Students can actually make some of the softwares possible. And of course, many of the things may not be implemented right now due to some cost issues, but as the technology is developing exponentially, these things will be adopted very soon. And of course, a smart campus cannot be built overnight. Slowly, developments and improvements should take place with the help of our community. Thank you. Any questions?
No, I think let me start by my comments. Yeah, so it's an awesome presentation, Samya. It's very
Thanks.
nice to have thought through a whole bunch of things, right? So maybe the question now is that there is a whole bunch of divergent ideas, right? Lots of them that kind of really improves upon what we do in various aspects of the campus itself. Questions come as to how do we want to go ahead and execute such plans, right? Some of them, like you rightly said, it's not possible overnight, so it has to run through a very long duration, and some of them are have to be prioritized based on what is immediately required in the campus, and some of them have to be based on what is technically possible today, and there is a whole bunch which would be based on commercial decisions on the ROI and everything, right? So did you have a brainstorming session with your team members on the execution side of it? Maybe you can just kind of enlighten us with those inputs as well.
Yes, sir. Like we have first of all conducted many surveys to know the problems that are currently our students are facing. We got a good response from many students. Like this is the problem, and I think I spent the whole day recollecting all my college things and etc. We really put our heart like these are all problems. Definitely, we searched a lot about other universities and how they are functioning, and we contacted. We connected with our seniors like who are miss committee etc to know all these works that are happening in the present campus, and we thought that many of them can be actually discussed within the student communities and can be implemented, like if you have a great club of innovation club and etc, some of the projects like library management system, it's just a software. So if we sit with a group and discuss, definitely we can make it with the help of the faculty. And this attendance system also, we can actually have a model of our own. So I think definitely student committees will play a major role here.
Great.
Thank you, sir.
So next, Vinay and team will presenting about human-computer interaction.
Good afternoon to one and all. My name is Vinay and our project is about human-computer interaction. Human-computer interaction. Now we are going to learn about human-computer interaction, HCI. HCI is the field of study of using mainly focus on interaction between humans and computers. Until the late 1970s, IT professionals were the only humans to computers. But as HCI evolves, major part of the world are now able to interact with computers. Now to learn about how evolution of HCI and interaction with computers of 5.7 about HCI. This is not enough as disabled people be benefited with this. So people come up with ideas like reality, etc. Now we are going to events of HCI. Usability is key term of HCI. All HCI deals with only technical aspects of computer science. It essentially a people discipline. The main goal of HCI are to increase of user, increasing productivity and safety caused by purely designed UI. As mentioned earlier, HCI is very important in our daily life. But what if user interface is? Here is one such incident. During Iran and Iraq war, in the by plays an important role in life. But what if interface is raped? Here is one such incident. During Iran and Iraq wars, late 80s, an American missile has airline. Most cited a hard read and operate radar display interface, which leads to misidentification the passenger aircraft on the one of the case study on one of the most celebrated Android skin the MI user interference. Xiaomi recently started rolling out of new version of their own Android skin, the MIUI 12, to many devices across the globe. We really wanted to know how many of MI Poco users feel happy about the new version of MIUI. To do so, we have conducted a survey on Google Form about the MIUI interface Android skin. We have got actually 40 responses from the survey, and the following are the analysis of those responses. These are different types of models used by the respondent and their count. Most of the headsets are uploaded on Android 10 before the release of MIUI 12. The above pie depicts the only those who do not get up. Some of the headsets, the MI most of the 12 headsets which are old to did not get from the above starts. Most of the users got MIUI 12, the floating window feature and newly improved graphics of the day, while most of the users get up and the other who are yet to get the update are excited about the improved graphics and enhanced security of UI and the feature as well. There are dislikes or bugs which caught the attention of the user. Most of them are not happy with the battery optimization in new UI and some reported lag issues and some minor bugs as well. From the above picture, we can say that most of the users are happy with the latest MIUI 12 than the previous version. And and finally, these are some additional features which are eagerly wanted to see in next MIUI update. Although some are unhappy with some minor lag and detect which can conduct the MIUI 12 is a greater success for previous version MIUI 11, as bugs occurs very often and can be easily rectified after getting noticed. And also the newly introduced feature and very well designed architecture of UI has attracted the users, outrunning the dissatisfaction caused due to the minor bugs. The feature AI for evaluations just what code data get you one user to good experience. Note that they are the same best case, but this is not satisfied and there is lots of room for development. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, this is Vinay. This is a very key important area. As a matter of fact, we personally had our own challenges with some of our key projects, especially the last one. I was actually doing a business venture with a British company. I actually brought them here to India to set up their shop, and that was a turnkey project which ran for about 4 years. Essentially, they were giving solutions to container terminals around the globe, and they were essentially running only services. So what we wanted to, or rather a vision I created for them for their India operations is one to scale up, which is the fundamental idea, but beyond that, to also come up with IP, intellectual property, for them to deliver their services much better. And the moment you speak about such software, IP essentially translates to software here. UI becomes a key aspect because container terminals are essentially not IT people running the shop there. Like, for example, you have like you rightly mentioned, right? Some of them, in terms of things can go wrong if they don't interpret the information being presented to them. So they are crane operators, they are people on the carrier, I mean the container ships that kind of put down the container boxes to the shore. So what we were kind of facing as a big challenge is to what would be the device and how would we want to present. There was the very divergent thoughts on that, right from an Android device all the way to a completely customized software and hardware platform for this. And we finally ended up with big boxes because these crane operators had huge gloves, safety gloves on them. So I totally agree with you on the fact that HCI requires a whole lot of research. As a matter of fact, it should consume quite a bit of the ideation effort itself in terms of any new system that comes to play in a market area. And your survey and data being collected and sliced and diced for the MI UI is quite insightful. So good work. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
And I also wanted to comment about these two projects. I think it means the same thing for both the projects. I see the surveys, the data collection part in terms of doing a dip check and probably running through a survey to ask a lot of questions from typical users for these projects, like for example the smart campus. You have spoken to the typical users, the main key users who will be people using the campus itself, be it in the library, be it the student community, the faculty, the people running the mess or the place where we eat. So I think one thing you can do is to pick up one of the high priority strong ideas that everybody agrees on, and maybe translate it to a prototype that can give you a fair amount of learning. And the same thing for the work done by Vinay and team, right? You can pick up one of the existing systems, right? Maybe your library management system or any specific systems that run in your environment, and see how you can improve its interface, right? So if you can more or less come up with something that's more experimental prototyping, that I think we can see there's so much of learning out of this exercise. Bottom line is, go from ideation to do a little bit of prototyping, maybe a dip check into one of the areas.
Sir, thank you so much, sir. On behalf of IIIT DM Karnool, I would like to thank our guests, Mr. Prabhu Annadurai and Nandan, for sharing great experiences and memories and making the workshop interesting. Thank you, sir. It's very inspiring.
I think I should thank everybody for spending their valuable time being here, listening to us, and I think it's more of a exchange of ideas, and it gives me a great pleasure to be here with you all. And I thank everybody, Dr. Krishna Naik and Dr. Murli, and everybody in the panel. The inputs by Dr. Ishwaramurthy, and of course Professor Somayajilu for giving the students and the faculty the ability to work on such sessions as this. And I wish you all the best for tomorrow's session as well.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your suggestions as well. In fact, they have in 2 days exam, end semester examination. Still, they came and attended the workshop because of the sessions are really interesting. So that's why they are like they stayed end of the workshop. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Dr. Murli. Thank you all.
I would like to conclude this session. Thank you, Prabhu sir. Thank you everyone for being here. In spite of network issues due to heavy rains in Tamil Nadu, AP and Telangana. Thank you, Dr. Murli sir, Dr. Krishna Naik sir and Dr. Ishwamurthy sir. It has been a great day. Hope to meet you all tomorrow at 10 a.m. along with the new speakers, Mr. Rekan Gandhi and Mr. Gauri Shankar. Thank you all.